Good morning. Oh my God, the mod sponsorship.
Dude,
We had no idea.
no, but we're here. They're supplying us with some food. Fruit snacks are great.
This is the Arcane Games and Events Open Series, round 6 for May.
Do you want to talk about our sponsors before we go into the last round
Sure.
of this thing? We have a couple sponsors today. First off, we're going to plug Collectors Legion for hosting the event. Great venue, clean, has AC, sells fab singles and products, as well as a lot of different other products as well.
And then, don't forget
Thank
about
you.
these guys.
Savage Lands News Bounty. We're going to be tying this up after this round. Current high score for damage done is 33 by Tyler Horsepool on Briar. If he's able to keep that lead, his rewards will be a cool custom playmat from the Savage Lands and also a $100 store credit for Collectors Legion. So really cool extra bounty to work towards in the bracket that's not top 8. Thank you again, Savage Lands, for supporting the stream, and go check out his content at youtube.com/SavageLandsNews.
Right. And then let's just take another sponsor, Alan.
And that's Alan. Alan's not our sponsor, but one of the guys who comes and competes a lot. Might be seeing him in top 8. I don't know his record currently. Another highlighted player out here. Alan is from San Diego, my area. He's been a great player out there for a long time.
A beast.
He's definitely a beast and currently known around the world, world famous. So keep your eye out for this player and follow his story. It's been pretty fun so far.
Speaking of stories, we got one more coming at you.
We have the Rhinar animation. It's so sick, bro. I'm so stoked that Alpha Rampage Rhinar versus
Standing in front of a fire, in front of a tree, in front of a light behind him.
something burning.
So this is Connor Davenport. I'm not aware of him. I should probably shake his hand and say congrats for going 4-1 into this meta
Nice.
with a Rhinar. I'm not. You said he's not from San Diego?
None of them. I don't need. None of
I
these
saw him with a Blood Rush Bellow mat, which I think is very interesting because most of the people who are playing Rhinar had to have been ready at Worlds to get that mat very quickly. I have one. I thought I was special.
Yeah, any of the
Connor
Rhinar
has
one.
one too.
Yeah, the Rhinar one's cool as well. The artist mats. But definitely great seeing a lot of diversification. We had 2 Reinhardts in the bracket today, and I think their hope, especially in this matchup, which is the Lexi matchup that they're expected to see, is we're just going to race. We're just going to do damage. We're going to draw our Blood Rush Bellows, maybe play our Berserks, and swing big.
This is something where I'm hoping Connor shows me what I'm missing of you need to play it this way. We're going to play it more aggressive. Grab the cross strap and just go. Hold on for dear life.
Cross Shop is the new favorite over Barkbone, it seems like. I've only been seeing cross straps come out of the Reinhardts.
I mean, I've been doing Tunic like an idiot this whole time.
Getting
my one resource every 3 turns to...
Like, you paid $300 versus, like, an $100
my
card.
goodness.
Come on.
Well, I'm sure cold foil... What is it called? Cold foil cross wrap? That's probably at least $200.
I know Craig has a gold foil one, which is cool.
Sheesh.
All right, so coming down, starting off with Alejandro being the first on the priority of the turn, putting a sedation shot. That's the one with inertia. Loading
Inertia's
that.
pretty good against Rhinar because Rhinar does a lot of combo pieces from I need to have this in Arsenal, and then because I can't discard a card, I need to have my Savage Beatdown or my Alpha Rampage in Arsenal so I get the full effect of it instead of accidentally discarding it before I go. Especially Savage Beatdown, because Savage Beatdown requires a discard before you can play it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the only way that card can come out is if you put it in your arsenal. We just did a whole bunch of stuff to say, actually, I'm going to put my cards the way I want them in my arsenal instead of only getting to put 1 in there.
Pulling the quiver back, Lexi getting ready for the setup to shoot a rain of arrows at Connor. No hard CC, so like no frostbites or anything coming Connor's way. So free rain to intimidate all the way. Barraging beatdown red.
What the hell is Shock Charmers for?
If they give you an inch, you take a mile.
Dang.
Yeah. So pretty much it punishes on hits a
I
bunch.
did not.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Riled Up is not a great card for an on-hit because there is no on-hit on this.
But still probably going to pull 2 cards out of hand because of the barraging. You need 2 cards from hand to turn off the extra buff.
If I'm Alex, I would just, let's take it. Who cares?
How much vanilla damage is this? 8?
8.
8 vanilla damage. Are you confident with taking 8 vanilla damage?
Yes.
Say yes.
I have 3 of a kinds. You don't have 3 of a kinds. It's like I think 3 of a kinds just fix so much math for Lexi players because it's like, oh, I'm 2 full cycles behind. 3 of a kind in Rain Razors is gonna do 3 turns of damage in 1 turn. Like, thank you. But we are blocking.
You do have extra
I don't know
cards.
anything.
You don't need to. He has. What if there's just a bunch of non-attack actions, not as many arrows?
Right. Unless he flips up 3 of a kind right here,
Which I believe
and then
you
he's
can.
like, great. I don't.
Drawing
I will block 6 and draw better cards.
Drawing the cards in the right order is definitely a really great skill. Ooh, great hand of Connor. We saw him kind of flash it as like a Massacre, a Skull.
Somebody was trying to use Skullhorn to start off a combo. It's like, I'm not brave enough
It just gets
to
the
do that.
Intimidate, yeah. That's more of a blitz move. It's more successful.
Like, I think the block and get a 5th card from Crown of Providence is just so strong in Rhinar.
2 M's blocking, cover the 5. Easy day. Does not want the Sedation shot, as you said. Reinhardt, not very big fan. Reinhardt's usually pretty good with 2-card hands. You know, block 2 cards, swing a Romping Club, or swing some Claws.
Very interesting. It feels like Alejandro is like, I'm going to take a little bit more time than you're used to. I'm just going to set up a really good turn, which only really backfires if the Command and Conquer is there.
It's very true. Thankfully, not presenting any pummel or anything. Doesn't have any floating mana. But Command and Conquer does demand an answer from Alejandro, or else he loses his setup that he's been trying to craft for the next couple turns.
It's most likely always going to be 2 arrows because everything else in his hand is going to be 2 blocks.
Correct. Yep. And he is running the Fuse build, so I don't know how many more 3s versus 2 blocks you get. I think you have a little better 3-block options.
Which 2 arrows hitting the discard pile, if you are ever going to pivot into, let me just fatigue Lexi, doing that on offense is so good. Instead of having to block all these arrows out. Going to reveal.
Give go again to my next arrow. That's going to shoot the endless arrow for 4. Now, does he have the Rain Razors to guarantee the hit here, or is it just going to be a little bland 4? And it's never a bland 4.
I think it's so frustrating because it's like all I want to do is kind of use 1 card and maybe my Scabskins and just block this. And then you can do it again with another one, and you're just prove it. Do you have... I think we were talking about a prove it meta earlier of like, you can run yourself out by over-respecting your opponent's cards, but if you truly don't think they have Rain Razors here, the smartest thing you can do is block this out with a card from hand and then Scabskins and just be like...
Do you want to use Scabskins that early, though? 40 health, running armor, it's not necessarily...
It's 5 versus 4 of what's a 5 on hit that is worse than this card currently presented?
He heard you, Blake, and he's going to do that exactly.
And he doesn't have the Rain Razors, so we have guessed correctly. But now, what sucks is normally that would be the greatest, oh my god, we have gotten so far ahead, we got one of his Endless Arrows. But Codex of Frailty says everything we just did correctly can be immediately undone by 1 Codex of Frailty.
But thankfully, no Codex has the Sedation shot, though. So trying to run the setup a little bit. Going to be taking the 4 from the Lightning Surge go again, just because it's vanilla damage, doesn't do anything. So, and you're at 40 health as a resource.
Do that 10 times.
But this one's a little different. This is 6. You're going to block for the full 6, trying to avoid the Sedation shot and the setup. Looks like he has something in his arsenal. He's trying to protect, maybe a Blood Rush Bellow. Maybe a Swing Big.
I think what's interesting, too, is like, oh, I'm going to pitch a card from my hand to play the Swing Big in my arsenal.
Yeah.
Only gets Lexi from 40 to 32. It's like, that doesn't really do anything for you because we didn't get any cards out of their hand.
It's true. Having to find that opening for the all-in is going to be rough. But I think Connor so far is playing it cleanly and just trying to be very cautious right now with this Lexi. Alejandro not having any more arsenal, though, is going to be unfortunate for his setup. He's going to have to reestablish it and... look for an opening. Well, Connor might be able to get that Blood Rush Bellow in and zoom ahead in damage, because once Blood Rush Bellow comes out, that's a ton of damage.
And it is something where, what's more damage, 3 of a kind and Rain Razors or a Blood Rush?
Yeah.
And I think the 3 of a kind and Rain Razors is just more efficient, too, where you're like, you can't be more efficient and do more damage, and we're going to do this as a race.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting because Alejandro is playing more of an ice build, more of an ice Lexi build, and Reinhardt likes playing against ice builds because they take their time to set up things, to put down, control things. But Reinhardt says, I play 1 big card, I smash you for vanilla, it slowly as a grind down. Especially if you're intimidating the right cards off of Reinhardt, it could be super detrimental to Alejandro's game if he's forced to block with key components.
Yeah, that's the thought process of, I am doing so much indirect good stuff, and I don't even know that as a Rhinar player because I'm not going to know until the end of the game where you say, oh my gosh, you hit my Sink Below 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
I kept it in my hand trying to stuff out one of your things.
Feels bad.
But you kept hitting it.
Correct. So another arrow for 4, keeping those breakpoints up. This one,
This
wasn't.
is an ice arrow. We haven't seen one of these in forever. Blizzard Bolt.
Yeah, I don't think it was fused at all.
But that's maybe where this comes in of Shock Charmers goes, oh, did I hit you?
Correct.
Hit it a couple more times with this, give you a bunch of... Like, if that was fused, there is the ability to do that.
You can also filter, too, with Shock Charmers a little better for your hand.
5 more damage from the drill shot.
Yep.
If this hits, get rid of the last point of damage on your Scabskins.
He says, I want to keep those. I have a 1-card hand. I can claw at you. Claw your eyes a little bit. And that's the hard part, like I said, once again, with Rhinar, is the vanilla damage. It's so easy to take, but starts adding up over time.
Right. Like, to swing a club for 4 every turn, I think there is something where it's like, we maybe have to go back to doing, dang, he's got the blue. Man, this guy's so much cooler than me.
The extended art ones, yeah.
I need those.
Pretty cheap.
We're pitching a blue, because this is a blue claw for, or not, we don't care about the color. This is a claw for 3 instead of a club for 4. Right. And it is something of, well, if I'm going to race Lexi, I have to run claws. So the one time I take 15 damage from Lexi, I can swing back for 20-something.
Correct.
You can't do that with club, but club is better from turn to turn, of instead of doing 3 per turn, I'm doing 4. And that 1 point of damage 5 times or 12 times a game is 12 damage. But it's so like we're coping right now of like Lexi has all the agency in this match.
But doesn't seem to be drawing the power cards. I've not seen a Rain Razors, not see a 3 of a kind. You're seeing already 1 Channel Lake Frigid being used to block, so only 2 more left. I think he's not just crafting these long chains he's looking to see early to race the Rhinar. But that's the trade-off you get with the Fuse build, is not every card is going to be an arrow, and most of the time it's going to be like ice, delay, but Rhinar can get over that if you're not careful. So
Rhinar's going to get over everything if you're not careful.
It can definitely get really scary really fast.
I do think one thing that sucks as the Rhinar player is you're like, my opponent's not drawing power cards. This is great. Oh, wait. I'm also not drawing power cards. This is awful.
So you're probably going to draw them probably in the same time. So who flinches first? Who is like, I give you my power cards in order to block this turn? Right. We'll find out. How much health do you think that Alejandro is safe at to avoid a Blood Rush Velo blowout?
Oh, you're gonna be fine if you're at. Just don't go under 15.
Under 15. 15 is the danger zone. The light turns on.
I think there's one thought process too of like, oh, I'll take an arrow that has a frostbite on it. I'm not too scared of that.
Yeah.
And then, oh crap, the Shock Charmers. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The Shock Charmers gives you 3 frostbite, and now you can't even really play your Blood Rush the right way without ruining your whole card economy.
Thankfully, with that setup, if you know what arrow you're looking for that to get punished on, there's only a couple heroes that say when I do damage versus when I hit. Hit making the physical and damage being, the Shock Charmer. So you'll be able to tell if you can read the right arrow, if like, oh, this is the one that I can get punished on Shock Charmers.
It's just, I think it's going to be all the Tales of Aria arrows, right? There's not another arrow from another.
Yeah, it's like all the Tales of Aria ones.
All right, 2 damage comes in. We're going to, is that a drill shot, right?
That was a Bolton shot, and then also a sleep dart.
I think if you're Connor, you're like, this is great. Let's keep doing this.
Yeah, Connor's is chilling right now. He's like, please don't play 3 of a kind. Please don't play Rain Razors. I see the Endless.
This is barraging. This doesn't have go again, and there's nothing behind it like a pummel or anything. Nothing allowed to do that with claws.
I'm interested to see what the other card is in hand. I know a really strong tactic Bruce uses a lot is barraging beatdown claw, because it requires like a 2-card hand and you pull cards out. It does a lot of damage, but he probably had a red, and that's why he couldn't pitch it that way, or else I think he would have gone for that line.
I mean, it's like we'll pitch both of them. Get that red out of there too.
That's also true. You probably like pitch it a certain way where you pitch the red first and then you pitch the yellow, but
because if that card's bad for this hand cycle, it's going to also be bad for next hand cycle.
Correct.
Based on what's interesting, 31-31 after 10 minutes. So
it was a sink. So I think he's trying to save a sink for like a good arrow block on the
which
Endless.
Makes sense because we can also fix our hand coming up.
Yep. So
Boulder Trap.
Holding the D react. Boulder Trap. Oh man, that's scary.
This isn't a table. I just realized that.
No, this is a table. We're on a table.
This is a table on. I like almost pushed our whole thing and fell over.
Oh man, that would have been
We almost died on stream. We got an arrow for 4. It's fused. This is Aether, not Aether. It's the other one. Chilling Ice Vein.
Chilling Ice Vein, correct. I think this is the one you can punish with Shock Charmers a lot.
And this was, if this hits you, we're gonna make you discard cards.
Correct.
So you can
Or
definitely punish.
Pay 1 or discard. Yeah.
Is it pay 1?
It's pay 1 or discard.
Yeah. So Aether Ice Vein is pay 2. So spells are stronger than arrows. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Both in damage and in payment. We got Justin looking on. Lexi does not want to block. No, with 2 cards.
I wonder what's in his arsenal.
It's been there a very long time.
I really think that it's something he's waiting to pop off on.
We just drew cards. Is it a Blood Rush in there? We're going to
Scabby Scabs.
2 is not enough. You hate to see that as a Rhinar.
You know, but you didn't lose.
Swing big, pitch a couple reds, and swing big.
Got your money back.
That's so frustrating because it is like, literally, if that's a 4, Rhinar is now kind of in charge for a long time.
Correct.
So it's interesting that the roll mechanic is what makes that possible. But we can't guarantee that roll mechanic because we would just go ahead of a lot of heroes.
Correct.
So it is basically a 50-50 of if I get to go ahead of my opponent or not.
Would you dare to Gambler's Glove that?
Never.
Never in your life. Do you ever run Gambler's
Glove?
Glove?
If I'm 4-1, I have Gambler's Glove. It's just the only parachute with a 1. You don't get greedy of like, unless it's like I need to. That's what everyone talks about.
So it's only for the 1.
It's at the end of the game. If you need to do this to get back and make your math better, you do try the Gamblers messed up, or I messed up. Let's do Gamblers to get back.
Yeah.
You don't do it whenever you're tied or ahead.
Makes sense. I think that's a good rule, you know, for the gamblers.
And Rhinar has thumbs, so rule of thumbs for Rhinar, you know?
Yep.
This is how you can learn. 6 damage vanilla is not going to scare Alex at all. I think he goes by Alex. I don't know if we write Alejandro because that's what's his name inside of Gem, but I'm just going to say both, and then let me know. Reveal. Ice.
Frostbite. It's going to be annoying for Reinhardt a little bit.
But sometimes it can fix your hand, too.
Sure.
If I need to get this out of my hand so I can Blood Rush.
Winter's Bite.
This is where Tunic becomes an all-star. Tunic's a Winter's Bite counter.
It is. I've done that with Islander and popped Frostbites and stuff. Alright, so it pays the 1. Gonna load Voltaire. It's gonna be a 3 arrow turn, it seems like. Another Boulder Trap being pitched.
Boulder Trap's an interesting, like, do you just need yellow pitch? Because it's not good against Rhinar, I don't think.
It's a good question. I don't know why Boulder Trap's in there.
Because, you're going to put a -1 counter on one of my equipment. It's like, nah, we're going to be, it's going to be a long time before that Boulder Trap gets value against me.
That's true. We're going to see a 5 attack, fuse. So if it hits, he pays 1 or discards. Still has the Crown of Providence. We're looking at a point where maybe you want to start figuring out a method to pivot with your armor. And that arsenal's been in there for a bit. What could be in there you're hoping so much to hold on to? Maybe you just Crown of Providence get an extra block this turn?
I think what's interesting, he's either playing the most discipline I've ever seen a Rhinar player play, and that's a Blood Rush, or maybe it's something where he's like, damn, I shouldn't have put this in my arsenal.
Rain Rage is coming down.
And it's going to be bad. The 5 bumping up to a 7 is so juicy here.
Correct. 1's going to get through, and he's going to have to pay. On top of that, he can choose to Shock Charmers more, but I don't think that's necessary because you're pretty much guaranteeing a free
There's only 1 card left.
Yeah, free Endless Arrow. One of the cards revealed in his hand was a non-attack action with Dominate. That one's still there. And this was the second card that was in his hand. So Endless is going to be guaranteed, and then he's going to put an ice card into his arsenal most likely.
We're pitching the barraging.
Correct.
The 2 floating probably won't matter. And then this is just going to be 6 free damage, which is gross. I think there's some thought process of maybe I'll use my crown to block 2 of the 6 and then draw a card from it.
Yep.
And then hope I get a yellow so I can at least swing a claw. That's kind of desperate.
What's also funny is you can crown sink into a sink below, and then you can also...
Oh my god, we're giving our arrows...
Go again.
Face up, go again.
Yep, because now he's only loaded once, so he's floating that. He's giving go again. He's gonna really try and punish Connor here with the Endless.
So that's 6.
Yeah, that's 6. It's gonna be Endless into Razor a bunch of times. Man, this is going to be a massive turn for Alex. This is a good identification of guaranteed damage and also keeping that arrow constantly. So 6, can't block it. Do that.
Do that.
Pray for a sink below. If you get a sink below here, you're a god. But you can still pay for the sink below because he has 2 floating. Does he get it?
Dude, that would be sick.
Please play the sink.
Flip it.
Flip it.
Do a flip.
Flip it. Flip it.
But now does this count and he has to discard it? Oh, no. He can pay.
Correct. He can pay for it. Yep.
Wow.
Man, that would have been so spicy if you got that sink
There's
below.
no
But
way
it was a good try. It was a good try.
He's going to use his last thing, shoot it again. This will have go again, but it doesn't matter because there's no way we can put it back in our arsenal to shoot it
You
again.
can block with scab skins to full block if it's a 3 block in your hand. Oh no, because the rain rage is
we
active.
still got
You're right,
rain
never
rage
mind.
is
Yeah, so it's over. It's like over like the damage.
It's so funny because it's like Connor's playing so disciplined and I'm doing everything I can to stay in play. And like, that didn't feel like a normal Lexi turn that is disgusting. That felt like we pieced something together.
Yeah.
We like that could be a combo if I'm going to winner's bite. Then I'm going to hit you with an arrow that makes you discard something. And then you have nothing left and I'll just do this over and over.
He did draw a D-react, but it was reckless swing.
Of course.
So he can't. You have to discard. So that's like part of the cost, right?
That's nice because it's part of the cost. So you can't play that raw without another card in your hand.
Which is unfortunate. He almost had the exact counter to save a ton of damage there, but just didn't quite line up, unfortunately.
That's probably one of his like 12 to 15 blues though, so that comes at the right time, so we can still claw.
Yep, still applying pressure. 1925 isn't that bad of a difference, especially if you're getting a card out of hand.
Yeah, I think it is kind of greedy to not pitch blue to winner's bite, especially if you maybe know that your opponent maybe is more icy if you're through the first 30.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like if you only have 1 blue in hand and you're gonna end up with 3 reds, it's like you probably should just be blocking anyway. First 3 of a kind turn.
Only arrows from here. What is in his arsenal? I don't think it's an arrow, if I remember correctly. I think it's a fuse card. Nope. Oh, it's endless. That's right. Endless was the one that came back.
The endless. The pressure is endless, you mean, because we're going to just be shooting arrows again and some more. It's interesting we haven't shock charmered. If we haven't shock charmered so far, what arrow do you think is the best shock charmer thing?
I think that you just don't do a win condition early to show them, like, hey, I can punish you a ton with this. So it's like you let them forget about what shock charmer does, and like, yeah, I'll take 1. You're like, no, you're taking 4, and that's game,
And one thing I think I just realized about shock charmer is another maybe thing that nobody thinks of on the first time you think about it, but like if you 3 of a kind and you don't draw stuff to play, your 3 of a kind can just fuel your shock charmer. Of like,
yeah,
oh, I can't play all these blue arrows, but now I'm just going to shock charm you worse.
Pitch to shock. Yeah, that's a great way to look around it. So he blocks the first one, of course. That was the first load and the first shot. Now he's going to load again into a battering bolt. Very interesting. No floating, so he's going to have to, pitch out a blue or a yellow. But he's got it. So battering bolt, 6 attack, it's a popper. And
Rhinar's Phantasm is toast. I don't really get this card much besides, you have to have a lot of stuff to kind of support it. Of like, oh, you can't play defense reactions from hand. If you have Dreadbore going or whatever, oh, you can't do instants because of something else. Or like, maybe you do Heart of Ice, and this is a weird combo nobody's ever used. But like, I'm going to be using my defense reactions to block this, so I'm not going to have any in my hand if this hits.
Yeah.
Is an interesting, like, when it's good, it's good. Oh my god.
He chooses to take 6, forgetting about the chill vein, so immediately putting down the Reckless.
No, Connor.
Well, he couldn't full block it because of Reckless. If you commit Reckless, then it has to be discarding, right?
I mean, it's better than taking 6 and pitching, right?
I mean, you're trying. I think he's just trying to save a 3 block plus Scabbies for the endless, maybe.
And I think this is what's frustrating. I obviously play Rhinar, and I want to play Rhinar next week, but it is like Lexi's gonna eat your lunch, and like, what happened during this game? Oh, I played really well until I ran out of cards because they had so many mess with my hand effects. We call those disruption. It is something where you're like, well, how am I gonna get through this whole meta like this?
I think that it's not necessarily that case always. So you have to understand that Connor hasn't drawn any Blood Rush Bellows.
So
Hasn't drawn
sad.
any of his power cards. Alejandro has drawn a 3 of a kind, has drawn a Rain Razor, and you saw him before when he wasn't drawing these accelerators that they were pretty even. You know, they were
Right.
pretty back and forth. But now that Alejandro is able to get down into his accelerators, get deep into his deck, and to really extend the chains, Connor's having a tough time without him finding one Blood Rush Bellow. You know.
Right.
So that's the big thing is that
Connor Blood Rush going to do 25 damage. Well, maybe, but not.
it will definitely swing you back tempo and then net you some more damage over time. But that's the big part I think with it is that Brute only has so many accelerators like that. Well, other classes have much more and are able to get to them more consistently.
Ooh. Use Command and Conquer off of the cross strap. Pretty good to make something out of nothing.
Tunic can't do that.
Tunic can't do that.
Can't free CNC, man. Cross shop's where it's at. This is going to demand a response from Alejandro. He doesn't have any armor in his boots anymore. He's probably not going to use New Horizons or Tunic, and his gloves don't block. So this is definitely have to come from hand if he wants to stop the CNC, or just do you lose 2 or lose 1? That's the math, right? He has 1 in arsenal if you can let it hit, or do you give him 2 from hand?
I think you say, is this card in my arsenal worth it? It's not.
No, it would have been annoying, but
I don't need I don't need incarceration to mess with Rhinar.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is if Connor ends the game with the Gambler's Glove, I think there will be a, I do need to play this. I need to play this aggressively to race Lexi.
Correct.
I think one theme of today is if you have a game plan, you got to go with the game plan completely wholeheartedly. And yes, you auto lose the game if you roll a 1 in that moment.
Correct.
But to leverage all of the stuff you're fighting for, you need to break that Gambler's Glove, take that 2, and switch it into a 4 or better. Because that's your whole game plan of I need to get ahead, get ready for the scab skin roll, and make sure I hit the scab skin roll.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah.
That's definitely the Brute mentality. Now we're going to see the last bit of scab skins plus a 3 block for this Endless Arrow. Does Alejandro have the Rain Razors?
I think what's interesting is playing that raw is kind of like, well, that's.
I almost thought that was a Rain Razors, how fast he played it. Just playing this does not have go again. This is just from hand. So it would have to be something crazy to give it go again, which I don't think.
Other high roller. We got a full hollow deck going on for this right now.
Connor getting some room to breathe. You know, that CNC, really helping his case now being able to slap back because the incarnation would have been so nasty.
I mean, let me look for Connor's deck. Maybe he's not playing Blood Rush. That'd be the craziest thing ever. Like, where are my Blood Rush? I as a Rhinar player, it just hurts so bad to draw through 80%, or not. We're not at 80, let's be real, but we're definitely like 40% of your deck and you haven't seen 1 Blood Rush. It's like, what did I do to deserve this?
Well, they're definitely in here. He has all the classic Brute good cards.
What are the classic Brute cards, if you had to say?
Barraging Beatdown. You have Beast Within. Blood Rush Bellow. All the yellows. Reincarnate.
Because there's a bunch of those that we haven't really seen. We got 1 down and dirty. I like that thought process.
Oh, yeah, that one's fun. It's a 6.
It's a 6.
Rhinar likes 6s.
Plus, it hits your graveyard, and then you can put it right back in there if they send one of those 5 damage arrows that does 2 blood rot on you, too.
Alejandro trying to shore up some of the damage from that 6 attack. He's going to be taking 3 of it, 1 card. He says, I have 1 arrow loaded. I'm going to try and do my best to slap back here and regain my tempo. Oh, Volt Haven. Getting both, not only the go again on the next arrow, but also giving the Frostbite. Making your defense reactions a little bit hard to play this turn, which sucks because Volt Haven is a house. It's going to give plus, 4 to the next arrow? Elemental arrow?
Yeah, plus 4 to the next elemental attack.
Yep. It's interesting, though, because you have to play it beforehand for it to work. You got to telegraph it. It's not like Rain Razor, you can just play on top.
I don't understand that, because it's like...
It says the next arrow you play, not... So if you were to play that at instant speed, then it would not work, because you'd have to work on the next arrow.
I mean, you should play it at instant speed anyway, just to mess with people. This is for the next one. This 4 damage arrow, don't take this.
Another Arctic coming down to fuse. So he's definitely going to know that he's going to get frostbited heavily.
So if we look at Connor's defensive options from his deck list, there's 2 Fates, 3 Sinks, and 3 Oasis.
He has,
which I don't think he's playing Oasis in this matchup.
No, he would not play Oasis in this matchup.
It just feels bad. Of like, I want a Tunic and Oasis if like we need to play defense. I don't know. It is. Why are we not racing faster? Because
you're not drawing Blood Rush Bellows. What are you supposed to be racing with?
As soon as there's Ice card, you're just like, God dang it.
Yeah.
We've got Pulping to race with. There's no. There are 3 Wild Rides too. So there is the Cheetah package for the Rhinar
The
players
what
at home.
package?
We call it Cheetah because it's our race, so it's the fastest thing we could race.
The fast package.
Cheetah has 0 block though.
Cheetah, the fastest animal.
Mm-hmm.
Full blocking the arrow because he knows there's nothing else he can do after that. It does have go again, but he knows the 1 card in hand is not an arrow. So feeling pretty comfortable to be blocking 9 here.
16 to 8. It's like 1 Blood Rush. That's all we needed.
1 Blood Rush.
Is there a line of text that says this card starts in the bottom 20 cards of your deck?
No.
But why is it? Why does it do that?
There's Sand Sketch Plan.
I swear, when people tell me why don't you Sand Sketch Plan for Blood Rush, I'm like,
Get it.
please stop talking.
What you don't
Not
you
that
don't
you're
like
good,
you
not
don't
that you just. Yeah, I
you
can't.
like drawing little.
I already
pictures
have
in the
bad
sand?
enough luck. I can't roll a 4. You want me to Sand Sketch Plan for Blood Rush and just hope it doesn't hit?
Get a Beast Within on the
another
top.
card. Yeah.
Perfect. Is there Terra Limb from Limb in his list? Did you see?
No, he does not have Terra Limb.
Not a Terra Limb from Limb believer.
Which I think is I would love to see him play against one of these really good Dromai players to see what he does to try and get ahead of that. Because Terra Limb from Limb is one of my favorite things to do to those guys. Okay, we got Arctic Incarceration. Let's do it. Fatigue Shot's amazing against Rhinar because it makes your swing big for 4, and you're just like, oh my god, why is this happening to me? We have a Blood Rush, and we have a Beast Within. We have enough to block the rest of it.
Can he somehow survive 8 here without being punished? But having that Arctic right there really hurts on a Blood Rush turn.
Right. That's the thing where it's like, as soon as you do finally have it in your hand, it's like, does Lexi have disruption? Does Lexi have disruption?
Does Lexi have double your health?
Yeah, Lexi has disruption. Does Lexi have yeah?
Yeah.
It's like every checklist you would need to have full systems go is just the opposite right now.
Correct. Everything says block on the radar.
I think what's interesting is people have talked about Voltaire and its strengths of like, is it too strong? And basically what it does is I can shoot 3 arrows a turn basically.
Mm-hmm.
Forever and ever amen if I have a bunch of Bolton shots. So Bolton shots is important. It came out in the same set as Voltaire.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like, that is super strong. Of like just super consistent and all that stuff instead of like, oh, Voltaire only really works like every 3rd turn or if it was like, if there was like counters on it like Tunic or something, if it was not consistent, obviously people wouldn't play it at Pro Tour anymore, but it would be like, this is more on par with some of these other heroes from Welcome to Wraith and Arcane.
How do you feel about him having 4 Frostbites on a Blood Rush
Well,
turn?
I think he's about to do absolutely nothing besides take them off and pass it back over.
Shrug off the ice and hope for the best.
Now there's 2
Massacre,
Blood Rush. And
Skullcrook. He's having a fun time here. But once again, he's saying he's not going to have that space to do it.
This is why I think Tunic is what you need to do is for these crappy situations at the end of the game. Is he about to? What the hell is this?
This is
Icy Encounter.
Icy Encounter. It just gives a Frostbite on hit, but because he revealed, the Lightning Surge, it gives it go again. The next thing.
This is whack. This is going to be played from Arsenal, so it'll have go again.
Correct.
I don't know how much this comes in for because boy, if I memorize this card, I'd be toast. I think it's probably a 5-4-3 red yellow whatchamacallit. Red yellow blue is 5-4-3 on those. We gotta and meanwhile we're gonna just 3 of a kind in between here. This game is over.
Another thing I was thinking about is like, we haven't seen Alejandro's threat in the first half of the deck, so they're gonna pop up in the bottom half of the deck, and so he's just gonna continue getting faster as he.
Did he say never mind? I'm gonna pitch Icy Encounter or why Why is there an icy encounter in Arsenal, in Pitch Zone and Graveyard? Did I looking for fruit snacks gave me...
Correct.
Did they switch turns already again?
Bane switched you a little bit there.
Blood Rusher Boss says, hi, kudos. You better believe it. It is kind of like, if you go home and you're Connor and you're like, let me count how many cards on stream I drew without Blood Rush. That card, I hate saying it's a broken record, but like, can I have my power card within 25 cards in my deck? Is that something I'm allowed to do in Flesh and Blood?
Yeah.
Oh, variants. Well, it's like,
You get 3 of
I
them.
need variants the good way to beat this character. I can't have variants the bad way.
I mean, people do it all the time. They just draw cards when they have more health.
They just
you know.
shut up and let it happen.
I think we're
I
gonna.
don't bitch about it like you, Blake.
I think
trying.
if you had like things like Sigil and stuff, I was just seeing around hard players before, you might be able to gain some advantage back to get by that space. But as long as these 3 of a kinds keep coming down, it's really hard to say like, hey, I have enough space to do what I want. I shouldn't be blocking. And also 8 health is super rough to be behind or in front of the Lexi's bow. You know.
And we're gonna have to like reckless swing, immediately draw a 6 off of a Beast Within. Like that kind of stuff can get you out of like. I think one thing about Rhinar that is fun playing that hero, is just as much as you get yourself into crappy situations, you can get yourself out of crappy situations too.
Yeah.
But you can also die.
It's true. It's hard here. Do you think so? Going back mentioning earlier in the game, he had the that chance to re-roll scabs.
I think
Was that the point, Blake? Was that the needle? Was that the?
And we kind of said something about it earlier, so I'm not gonna say the exact same thing I said last time, but it is like if that is your game plan, you got to go all the way to that game plan.
Yep.
So if I get this roll, I'm ahead and I have initiative on Lexi, and we're at the same health. I just told you don't do it at the same health, or if you're ahead.
Got you.
Maybe we move that slider a little bit to don't do it if you're ahead.
Yeah.
But if you're at the same health, go for it. Or if this is your window of, like, who is more likely to draw into power cards, Rhinar or Lexi?
Lexi.
There's no bones about it. Think we can race Lexi if we have to do what's off the top 5 of your cards. What's off the top 5 of your cards? By the way, 3 of a kind draws more cards.
Blood Rush Bellow
Draws 2
draws
and
more Blood Rush
so it
Bellow.
draws 1. I hate that card. And I think some people would be like, Blood Rush is super powerful. It's like
it is.
It does like a third of what your card does, brother.
That's super good. I think they just need more accelerators, and Bree will get that. I have a friend today running 1 Berserk for the fun acceleration if you can get to it. Just really upping that the threats.
I got 3 Berserk and it doesn't work ever.
Not one time. Damn.
It works sometimes.
Sometimes
It beats Katsu. It doesn't beat Lexi, but
Katsu,
Katsu I think is interesting because it's a very strong aggro deck. But half of its stuff says vanilla.
Yeah.
And then the other half of its stuff says you know exactly how much this is going to be because we're doing it.
All right.
Shock Charmer time.
Shock Charmer time. I'm wondering, Shock Charmer works. Yeah, Shock Charmer works on attack actions because I use it in Briar.
2 more damage.
Correct. Just
3 more damage.
leaking damage through when he can.
Yikes.
You're going to give me that 1. I'm going to take him out once we talked about that before. Now, here's...
And that's off of 3 of a kind played, so those blues that he can't play does turn into fodder or food. Food for that.
Looking to move to an Arsenal play to set up. Connor having a 2-card hand. What could he do?
But he's going to hope like hell, swing a claw,
One of them
put
is a
that blood rush in
Bellow.
Arsenal, and
Yeah, I think
to
Swing a
God.
Claw, Blood Rush Bellow. Hope he draws all non-attack actions for you to come back. There's a sand sketch plan, Blake.
You hear me?
That's him rubbing his hands
You
together.
hear me rubbing my hands together?
No, I don't.
It's to prep.
So much ASMR
my
going on
sadness
with Blake
for
right
whenever-
now.
Like, Alejandro's going to go Arctic Incarceration into Arctic Incarceration into Arctic Incarceration.
So there's Bolton Shot revealed. So at least he doesn't get any fun elemental buffs. This is just a arrow he needs to buff.
Can Alex do more than 6?
So +1 to
That's all he
Bolton
has to
Shot,
do.
I imagine. Or no, it reveals. It's when you load it, it gets the plus. So now he's loading his first arrow, which is going to be an elemental arrow. Boom. Pew pew. Fusing.
No.
Winter's Bite. All right. No, you have the Winter's Bite.
Damn it.
It can mess up your turn
Connor's
for Blood
died.
Rush.
The Winter's Bite is going to close it out.
Yeah?
The math is not mathing for Rhinar somehow.
That's not good. So he blocks 6 here. He plays winner by. He does another one. He reloads for free. He shoots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the style. That's the combo out. Yeah, it's seeing really hard for Rhinar. It depends what's in his arsenal. What if it's a defense reaction? What if it's like a sink below?
Blood rush.
It's a blood rush. That's right.
Oh my god, a 5 damage block.
Perfect.
Clutch.
Perfect 5 damage block.
I would give this +1 instead of go again.
Sleep dart. Sleepy time dart.
+1. That's what's sick about shock charmers. I honestly, hand to Wraith or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Shock charmers is the most underutilized piece of equipment in the game. Like if someone came in with a game plan of I'm gonna play shock charmers weirder than anybody else in the game, I think you would crush people. That's game because we did all the math when we weren't paying attention. It's just an extra arrow. I do 5 + 5 + 3. You only have enough to block 6 + 6 + 3. Or 6 + 6.
Yeah.
We got the other guy. Other Rhinar guy's like, damn.
He's chugging the blood rush.
Better you than me, bro.
He said, if you would have gave me the chance, I would have yelled so hard and won. Definitely.
If you wouldn't be able to shoot a 15 damage turn regularly every other turn, I really would have had some room to breathe here. Dang it. I don't know. If you're a Rhinar player at home and you're watching that, are you like, well, great. That was super close. Are you going, wow, I feel worse than ever about that matchup? Because I have been paying attention to some of that chat of like, what do we feel about this? And Lexi feels like such a bad matchup of you got to draw your blood rush early and run them over. I know somebody did today do that.
Correct.
Maybe it was even Connor. But it was like, oh, I drew a blood rush in my opening turn. I went first. Boom, boom, boom. Lexi's at 22.
Yeah.
Drew another blood rush. Took 6. Took 12 from her. Did another 18. 20 + 18. Now they only have 2 health the rest of the game. Let me just... Reckless. There's 6 more health, and now I'll get the rest somehow.
Somehow. But those are the only accelerators you have in the deck. While Lexi has lots of options, lots of buffs.
What? Accelerators?
Accelerators. They make...
More accelerators for Brute.
Yeah. You draw cards. You get through your deck faster. You're accelerating through the deck. 3 of a kind is a major one for Lexi being able to go through and start just pulling arrows out of the deck, pitch stacking correctly. Trying to think of another one. Inertia doesn't pull out of the deck unless your codex is unless it's inertia. Things like that though. Things that draw and give you advantage.
Right.
Sonata. If you're a big Sonata, you can do it.
I think it's interesting of why did we make you guys watch that matchup? It was close. it does feel bad for Rhinar. I do think if you are bringing Rhinar, don't go over state lines if you know there's going to be a bunch of if Lexi's the number one thing. Like it does kind of suck of why did you take Phi or Rhinar or something that auto loses to Lexi to a deck, what are they called, tournaments, where the most popular deck is Lexi. It feels bad, but you have to have your game plan of I'm going to go aggro into them. That's why I set this load up on the left. But you cannot be at, if there was a tutor to grab Blood Rush, if it was, if there's just a card that says, I'm angry, and it's a 0 cost red that was like, if your opponent does over 5 damage to you, go get Blood Rush and put it in your arsenal.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Just a quick production. Can we get that card made on stream, please? Of just saying I'm angry and then it fetches Blood Rush. I think that's a great idea. That's the chief.
Fruka-10. Okay, well that's not available.
We'll put
and you gotta do something 3 times, and I can barely do 1 time against Lexi. I'm not gonna have 3 times of stuff. I think the thought process of, I was saving a perfect block of my sink. Maybe that backfires a little bit. I'm gonna wait to go full force at this. I missed the dice roll. I think those are the 2 turns where you're like, I need to redo that.
Do you have to bring claws every time, or do you switch to a romp build? I know there's a difference between a claws build and romping club.
So I actually do know this, and I'm smart at this thing, so I'll tell you what's going on.
Perfect. That's exactly why.
So claws. They do so much damage on Blood Rush that it's important. However, Club was once a really good control build.
Yeah.
I'm going to put 9 Blood Rush, 9 barraging beatdowns in my deck, and now this is my main strategy. I'm not overly relying on Blood Rush.
Okay.
I'm going to say overly rely because that's what probably happened in this matchup, is if you over rely on a card to power your whole deck. If you don't draw it, you're playing a very bad deck. Playing Rhinar alone is not great, but playing Rhinar without Blood Rush would be pointless. And that's kind of what happened during this matchup if I played this lower tier hero without its best option. That's just what happened. It sucks because of variance. It's not anything on Connor. It's not anything on Lexi players. Yeah. It's just what happened this time. So I'm going to play club of
romp it.
Block 9.
Gotta romp 'em.
Save a yellow or a blue. Romp for 4. Romp for 4.
Romp for 4.
Romp for 4. What will happen is it'll be a no-brainer. Lexi will go from 40 to 36 to 32 to 28. But, like, they literally have 10 rompings in them of not blocking any of it before it and most of the time they'll just take 4 because it's not something that's messing with them.
You can pump
However, now those decks are doing way more damage.
Yeah, sure.
Because 9 plus 4 is 13, and that's, I'm going to block 9, swing 4, that's a 13 swing damage. Can they do more than 13 a turn?
Yes.
So now they're getting ahead of you.
Eventually, once they get the accelerators, like,
3 of a kind, Rain Razors. Yeah. I'm going to shoot 4 arrows. That's way more than 13.
Yep.
I'm going to block 9 of that way more than 13. Actually, I'm going to probably block 12. And then you missed your club. You're blocking 12. You didn't swing your club, so now you're doing 12 for your thing.
So you're slowly losing that advantage.
Or now I drew a reckless swing. I have 3 cards that can block in a reckless swing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to block, reckless swing, and now I can block 3 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. And now we're going further back before. So, like, you can only play control club into decks that, like, Oldham, where I'm just going to get rid of every single one of their defensive options and club them for 4 base plus 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 from those red, yellow barraging beatdowns. And that does a bunch of damage. Or yellow, red. So it's something, or yellow, blue is what I was doing in that math. It's just something where the club strategy against Lexi, against Katsu, is not enough anymore.
No.
Because they're just doing more damage to you.
Yeah.
And they're just not afraid. And then it's like, it's literally the most vanilla damage ever, of just swinging a club. And like, if Rock
worked.
Here's one thing I do want to say. Rock is 7?
7.
Not 8.
Yep.
So if Rock was a blue, there was not a stipulation.
Yeah.
Blue 7, we just power creep a Nothos for
so
whatchamacallit. And maybe say, if you're going to Rock, every time you throw this at your opponent, it does 1 damage to you or something. Some stipulation there. Or maybe some, like, you need a helmet that, take your helmet slot off and now you can Rock, because you can't have a helmet on when you can Rock. Yeah. If there's some kind of design that way, I would have loved to use that strategy, but you use Rock. You build a more blue brute.
Yeah.
And now you are control blue brute with Rock.
Now, you came up with your own kind of fetch for the accelerator. Let me pitch you an idea for a brute card, and I call this a de-accelerator. This is stopping the progress of the game a little bit, and I think Brute will like it. What if Brute got a card that was on hit, we both lose 1 intelligence, and it's like a headbutt card. So it slows down their threat density, and it slows down how many arrows they can draw. And you don't care because you're
Brute. It slows them down when they still draw 3 from.
God!
So
close. You almost solved it. I'm sure they're gonna come up with a lot better stuff when Savage Lands comes around. We're seeing more art and more kind of mystery. Like what are we gonna see in the Savage Lands? We'll find out probably more after Dusk Till Dawn.
I do hope there's some creativity. I've always talked about, like, if you do 10 or more to Rhinar, or I don't know if there's a 5 more, and then, like, the blue is 5, the yellow is 6, and the red 7. If you did 7 or more damage to me, it's going to give me a mini Blood Rush effect.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, take it, because I got a Blood Rush right here. Are you going to give me an extra 2 buff? And maybe they'll be like, I'm playing Katsu, so I can control my damage a little bit. Maybe I'll hold back a Kodachi, because I don't want to turn on Rhinar's overt mechanic or whatever.
Yep.
Like, I just literally want that, but, like, have it make sense. And what sucks is we have Vincent that we got to get through. We have 6 Prisms that we got to get through. And then it'll be Rhinar's time.
We'll believe.
Don't say House Brute into Icelander when I didn't draw a Blood Rush. I did draw a Blood Rush, but I didn't draw. You hit everything that wasn't a 6, man.
Blake's getting a little riled up. We're gonna cut
That's
for
a card
the
too.
top 8 and word.
We're cutting to break.
Okay.
We're gonna get dinner, and then we're gonna make another stream.
Gotcha.
But most of all, what you should care about is we're gonna populate this top 8.
What?
That's last time.
That's not correct. That was not right.
I wasn't supposed to do that, but that was to illustrate you
what that might look like
We're-
once the names are correct. 100%.
take a screenshot of that and spread it around.
No.
We're gonna end this stream, and then we're gonna make another stream,
Correct.
which will be the top 8. So don't miss out on the excitement. We're gonna go eat spam musabi from
gonna be
4 doors down.
About an hour in between the time, so you go get some food. Get ready, get buckled in for the.
Go find where your blood rush are. Maybe you didn't put it in your.
Call your friends. Like the top 8 starting. There's gonna be great.
But most of all, don't let them put nationals in Ohio. That's what we're saying before everything else. We're gonna see you guys in an hour.
Yeah.
Hasta luego.
Bye.